Oh, second last plenary session. We have one more. I shouldn't break your hearts yet. This is the second last plenary session. And in this plenary session, we'll be looking at insights from the efforts of individuals. In the last 3 days until this morning, we looked at insights from the efforts of the communities and focused on institutions since yesterday. And now for this session, we'll transition to insights from the efforts of individuals. And those of us who have not had the opportunity to speak, begin preparing your thoughts already ahead of time. And put some people saying, I'm even going to stand up so I can speak. So I don't want the whole room to stand up, but we can be prepared. We looked at the Training Institute, and I think the remarks at the end by dear Navid were very helpful, again, to see how we transitioned from that conversation from yesterday to today. And this session 8 of the plenary, we are going to explore insights from the efforts of the individuals, and we'll look at that through the lens of paragraph 13 all the way to paragraph 17 of the 31st December message. Before we look at those 5 paragraphs, which are dedicated to the individuals, we will look at paragraph 4 of the 30th December message, which I'm very sure you're familiar with. We'll just draw on a few insights from that paragraph, and I'm sure probably you'll be able to connect back to it at your own pace later on. It says that the enkindled souls. You remember that paragraph? The enkindled souls being raised up through the processes of the plan are seeking to gain an ever more profound understanding of Baha'u'llah's teachings, the sovereign remedy for every disease, and to apply them to the needs of their society. And then the House of Justice describes these enkindled souls in more and more detail. They are committed to the prosperity of all, recognizing that the welfare of individuals rests in the welfare of society at large. And these enkindled souls are loyal citizens who eschew partisanship and the contest for worldly power. Instead, they focus on transcending differences, harmonizing perspectives, promoting the use of consultation for making decisions. And these enkindled souls emphasize qualities and attitudes such as trustworthiness, cooperation, forbearance, and these qualities are building blocks of a stable social order. These enkindled souls champion rationality and science as essential for human progress. I mean, from the conversations that have unfolded in the room, you can see testimony to that. These enkindled souls advocate tolerance and understanding, and with the inherent oneness of humanity uppermost in their minds, they view everyone as a potential partner to collaborate with, and they strive to foster fellow feeling even among groups who may traditionally have been hostile to one another. And again, we've heard of accounts of this in our conversations in the last few days together. These enkindled souls are conscious of how the forces of materialism are at work around them, and their eyes are wide open to the many injustices that persist in the world. Yet, they are equally clear-sighted about the creative power of unity and humanity's capacity for altruism. And they see the power that true religion possesses to transform hearts and overcome distrust. And so with confidence in what the future holds, these enkindled souls labor to cultivate the conditions in which progress can occur. And these enkindled souls share their beliefs liberally with others, remaining respectful of the freedom of conscience, every soul, and they never impose their own standards on anyone. And while they would not pretend to have discovered all the answers, they are clear about what they have learned and what they still need to learn. And I think, again, our reflections here are proof of that. We know what we've learned, but we also are seeking clarity on what we still need to learn. Their efforts advance to the alternating rhythm of action and reflection, and setbacks leave them unfazed. Of course, we know on this path we walk, there's a lot of challenges and tests, but that doesn't deter us from pursuing our goal. In places where growing numbers are helping to build communities of this character, the power of the cause to transform people's social existence as well as their inner lives is becoming increasingly visible. Earnest pursuit of the plan's central aim will, we are sure, cause many, many such communities to emerge. And again, from the time the beloved House of Justice wrote this letter, you can see that many, many such communities have emerged. And I know many people want to share of their communities, but time doesn't allow us. Someone was saying time is on our side, but I think time is not on our side. So then based on that, we can see how much of this enkindled souls the House of Justice talks about. But now if we connect that to paragraph 13 of the 31st December, okay, maybe we can quickly do that. It says, it has consistently brought us joy to see the enkindled souls described in our message to your 2021 conference in cluster after cluster and in greater and greater numbers, pursuing the plan with wholehearted devotion and critically, a dedication to the process of learning. This is the surest foundation for the progress that needs to be made in the plan's second phase. So again, it's very clear. The House of Justice, of course, is following very closely what we are doing. And so you can see the connection between that. And really the message speaks to the efforts that you're putting in place in your clusters. What characterizes these enkindled souls is not only their devotion to the plan, but more critically, their dedication to the process of learning, which is, the House of Justice says, the surest foundation for the progress that needs to be made in the second phase. With such a dedication to learning, we come to see every interaction as an opportunity to learn from others and to generously share insights and experience. Life acquires new meaning, a sense of direction, purpose, and a long-term vision. This is what enables us to persevere and remain undistracted by the confusions of the world. Again, if you go back to paragraph 4 of the 30th December, then you see, these challenges, the confusions in the world are going to not deter us from pursuing that goal. The role of the institutions is to create conditions for this to occur, for people to take responsibility for the development of their communities and to ensure they are connected with others as they engage in action and reflection in different arenas of service. We also would ensure that our vision remains fixed on the transformative impact of the process of the plan, and this will help us to realize that exerting a profound transformative impact on the individual is very critical. At the heart of this transformation is the alignment of one's pursuits with the will of God. Again, from our conversations on the training institutes, we've heard of so many encounters of how individuals are aligning themselves by learning to draw directly from the revelation of Baha'u'llah. You know, when an individual is introduced to the Institute process, they are connected directly on how to draw from this revelation for our own individual transformation, but also for collective transformation as we practically apply the teachings of God in our lives. So we'll hear a lot more experiences of that. The Institute process is nurturing this alignment of our pursuits with the will of God in growing numbers of people. It brings individuals into a moral and spiritual framework in which their pursuits are illumined and shaped by the Word of God. For example, when Book 1 is conducted well, many souls are able to explore their true identity, the purpose of their life, and the central place of the writings in informing their choices and actions. So again, you see this impact, this transformation, really in its nascent stages, beginning to occur in the life of an individual that comes in contact. And of course, we know the Training Institute is one way in which we do that. As a consequence, these enkindled souls wholly devote themselves to the spiritual, intellectual, and material advancement of a population. And in the company of many others, they are building heavens of peace. For a growing number of individuals, then, to arise as protagonists of the plan, consciousness needs to be nurtured of the significance and expansive nature of the work underway in their surroundings. With such a consciousness, they readily volunteer their time and creative energy to contribute in a variety of ways. This includes by contributing to the fund and offering other types of material resources. This is especially the case for some believers of means. But even for everyone, in our conversations with the families, usually you hear people say, I want my children to participate in this, but what can I do? And before, we used to say, no, everything is free. Just bring the children. But we are learning more and more to realize that somebody actually has made a contribution to that. So it's a gift that someone has given. It's not free. It didn't drop, I don't know from where. Somebody definitely made some sacrifices. Somebody went without food. Somebody walked instead of taking comfortable means of transport. Somebody gave up something. Individuals made sacrifices to enable this to happen. So again, how are we ensuring that these types of material resources are contributed, are pulled together within the community? How do we strengthen this conversation? It would be really helpful to hear about this, because we know the role the fund plays in the lives of individuals. I don't know whether it was in this meeting that I heard somebody talk of how they assisted a team of individuals to study Book 11. Was it here? It was in this space. Sometimes we're in too many spaces, you wonder which one you heard from. But definitely, I think that was very creative. Why Book 11? Northeast, was it Northeast? Oh, it was Central. Oh, okay. Whichever one. But the person who talked about it, I will even give you time to talk about this a little bit more. So really, the role of the fund in our lives. How conscious are we of material resources? And then we have believers of means. Maybe you should explore that. Who are believers of means? Sometimes we think that we are poor, we are poor. You know this thing of saying we are poor. And Baha'u'llah tells us he created us rich. So what are you poor of? Are we together? So when we are talking about believers of means, Baha'u'llah created us rich. So So that consciousness needs to change in our mind. It's a mindset thing, friends. A mindset thing that we use as an excuse not to support the material means of the faith. So really, it would be good to hear from a number of individuals. And if I have my way, I'll just give those ones who want to talk about the fund on this one. We also need to learn how to fan into flame a passion for teaching in every individual. Beyond the responsibility of communities to foster culture of teaching, which we explored in depth on day 2, paragraph 16 of the 31st December 2025 message reminds us that teaching the course is a privilege and duty of every believer. To acquaint a soul with the mission of Baha'u'llah, the beloved House of Justice says, and beyond this, to lovingly help a soul who stands at the doors of the faith to step within. We had started to hear this on day 2, but we need to hear more of this. And paragraph 16 explores that in depth. We also want to highlight that although concerted effort has been made around the world since the launch of the 9-year plan to learn how to recognize when the city of the heart is open, and on the conversations that lead to this moment and that follow it, more is needed. So really, let's take note of that. Since the launch of the 9-year plan, how do we recognize when the city of the heart is open? What are the conversations that lead to this moment? So maybe it would be good to hear a little bit about that. Individuals will need to make a mighty effort. Again, not just thinking in terms of the community now, but each one of us here. We are here as of course, we are representing agencies and institutions, but we are also individuals, right? Sometimes we like to say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm an auxiliary board member. We are also individuals. I'm a member of the Regional Baha'i Council. Some of us, I'm a chairman of the local speech assembly. We are individuals. So then the role of the institution to encourage and support the individual believers in their duty to teach and to provide spaces to reflect on effective approaches, including through conversations with relatives, friends, classmates, co-workers, and those previously unmet. I'm sure we all have relatives, right? So this should be on our list of people to teach. We all have friends. We went to school at some point, so you must have classmates, right? We have co-workers, and we have individuals that we meet for the first time on a daily basis. You interact with a lot of people in our circle. In the closing paragraph of 31st December, paragraph 17, which calls on all believers to spare no effort to proffer that remedy to receptive souls, and in the midst of difficulties to seize every chance to respond to humanity's intense need. We need to pay attention to that. Paragraph 17. I just want to read that paragraph together. Looking back over one's life, there can be no greater joy and comfort than to know that it was spent in acute awareness of the divine remedy, that no effort was spared to proffer that remedy to receptive souls, and that during those fleeting years when opportunity was at hand, even in the midst of difficulties, every chance was seized to respond to humanity's intense need. It's a very powerful paragraph, but it speaks to each one of us directly. The last few days we've been talking about communities. You know, you get lost in the big community, right? Institutions, But now really we, the I, me. When I go to bed at night, what am I thinking about? What are my priorities? And the fleeting years, during those fleeting years when opportunity was at hand, even in the midst of difficulties, we heard from a friend from Ethiopia. Not Ethiopia only, but Eritrea. In the last institutional meeting, we heard of these challenges from the friends from South Sudan. But today, look at the beauty. Really. They were the smallest group. But now you can see the efforts. They made us dance and we cheered. We are even having Arabic in our midst now. The efforts of the individuals. And those efforts can be multiplied. So then, I also wanted us to focus on some of the comments, some of the questions that we'll be talking about. We want you to share insights from communities where an expanding number of individuals, especially the youth, have been raised up through the process of the plan and describe how they have transformed. And I know we have thousands of this in Eastern Africa. How have these youth transformed? How are they evincing some of the qualities of the enkindled souls described by the beloved House of Justice in the 30th December message? And of course, in the 31st December message. As this number of enkindled souls grows, how is it transforming the community? So now we have individuals transforming. What is the impact of the transformation of the individuals on the community itself? We also want you to share about communities where a growing number of people are engaged in the teaching work in a variety of settings. How is universal participation in the teaching work being fostered? We heard of people talking about teaching teams. Is teaching teams just the area teaching committee, or do we have a sizable number of individuals? How are we mobilizing more and more people in the community to teach? How is every newly acquainted person being encouraged to invite others? Again, we know that is how it becomes self-perpetuating. More and more people are inviting others. And how is the capacity of teachers of the faith increasing? How is our own capacity increasing? Particularly our ability to recognize when the city of the heart is open. And how are we learning to formally welcome these receptive souls into the embrace of the Baha'i community? We do some analysis at the level of the Eastern Africa zone, and we see that the numbers of believers is not as the graph is not an upward graph. It's kind of a downward graph. I think it speaks for itself. How do we ensure that it's an upward graph? I think this capacity to be able to recognize when the city of the heart is open is what we need to strengthen. Because many of the friends are considering themselves Baha'is. There is a story in one of the communities where a friend of the faith participated in a 19-day feast. And you know Baha'is, we like to put the fan box somewhere. But there are those of us who are so, I don't know, for lack of a better word, more Baha'is than others. So then it's time for contributing to the fund. And this gentleman gets up to go and contribute to the fund. And another more Baha'i ran after him and said, "This is only for Baha'is." Can you imagine? You've come to 19-day feast, but because you have not signed a declaration card, you're not considered a Baha'i, and you're not allowed to contribute to the fund. And for me, always the thing is, you who is stopping them, you yourself, are you contributing to the fund? And so this goes on really, that challenge of stopping someone is stopping a soul who wants to contribute to the fund. We take it upon ourselves to stop them instead of encouraging them. And so then Auntie Rachel wants to know the end of the story. It became but the other gentleman, of course, put his foot down and say, "I am going to contribute anyway." And he put his contribution. I said, if I was there, I would have clapped for him. He put his contribution into the box. So really, this kind of situation, we don't want to find ourselves in a situation like that. We can take a different approach to this. And maybe say, "Oh, welcome to the Baha'i community." Really? It's a much better approach than, exactly, is confirming. If I have started book 2 and I know what a 19-day feast is, and I go for 19-day feast, and I have not signed a card, really? Are you going to stop me and say, those of us who are old generation, we put people, they take you to a separate room. Will I come back next time to that community? That's what we used to do, or they used to do to our friends. You come with your friend from school, from university, very happy to bring them. Oh my God, the members of the local speech assembly are going to take them to another room. And you are not even allowed to go to explain to your friend why they are being taken to another room. Auntie Rachel is into this conversation. One of the counselors said that when he was a seeker, he was taken to the kitchen. So definitely we have many stories. I'm sure we can share many interesting stories of this and really laugh at ourselves on how we have not been able to discern when the city of the heart is open. And I think that is still a challenge for us. How do we ensure that? I don't want to take any more time and tell stories here. So basically, universal participation when the heart of the soul is open, but we also want you to share examples of raise consciousness among broader cross-sections of the people about the significance of an expansive pattern of activity in their surroundings, and about how this growing awareness is inspiring them to readily volunteer their time. Again, how are more and more people volunteering their time and energy to support these efforts and contribute to the fund or offer other material resources? Again, we have so many examples of how people are supporting the processes that we're engaged in. Even somebody giving you their mango tree to sit under is a contribution. And we need to acknowledge these contributions. And that can go a long way. You keep talking about centers of learning. Centers of learning, in most cases, are families, people's homes. This is a contribution that somebody is giving. So really to look at it from that perspective. We'll open up because we want to take as many of your hands as possible. And I have my sister here. We are going to run this race together. So put up your hand. But the time, this is the last session, right? If you have not spoken, put up your hand. If you've spoken, give an opportunity to other people to speak. We agree on that? I wish I could take all your hands. I don't know. Lynette, I hope you know their names, but I don't know their names. Raise your hand. Between the two of us, we'll figure out who you are. The microphones. I want to begin from Eritrea. Sarah from Eritrea. Where are you, Sarah? Mishak, where is Mishak? Okay, Mishak's hand was high up. Rugachwa, where are you? Oh, Stella. Aunt Rachel is saying Stella has raised her hand. Okay. Aunt Rachel is enjoying this conversation so much. Maybe we can, where are the microphones? We got tired. Mishak, can you get a microphone? Where's Mishak? Okay, Mishak has a microphone already. Mishak, you can start. Rugachwa, and then we can come back to Sarah. Where's Rugachwa? The name I can't pronounce. Where? Oh, karibu. Yes, Mishak, please. Sarah will speak after. Okay.
So allow, dear friends. So maybe because of being the first opportunity to share, I'll share on the Northwest region on how the growing capacity has been enabled to respond to these communities in circumstances where they can strengthen the educational activities and extend the acts of service to neighboring villages by either sustaining the social initiatives rooted in local realities. So across the clusters, we have seen visible shifts of evidence in which communities are no longer passive recipients of the guidance, but as active protagonists of their own development, supported by the local spiritual assembly in which these assemblies are raised. A clear example is in Misemwa village in Makutano cluster, where through efforts of the local spiritual assembly and the area teaching committee, they have been conducting various teaching teams visiting homes. But after careful analysis, they delved on organizing a teaching conference where prior to the teaching conference, there was this element of mobilization. And through this element of mobilization, they were mobilizing resources to sustain the activities. So friends were encouraged to contribute in kind or in cash or labor to support the gathering that was held within the community. So a notable thing that was shown was friends contributed food. There was that part of labor and logistical support. And from this, it formed a major component of what was required drawn within the community itself, whereby the friends of the faith or the Baha'i friends within the community were able to see the importance of coming together, realizing the elements of supporting their communities through consulting and making plans, which was a collective responsibility within the community. Another area is through this, we have seen a visible capacity whereby communities are arranging activities falling to the cycles where they have harvest is much, and through this they align with the local realities. So in the western part, we are seeing the parts of harvesting come in the period of June to August, and then the eastern part, their harvest come the period between November and December. So through this, the communities arrange these gatherings so that the communities can be able to sustain it and support the community's activities falling to the rhythm of the society. So within this, we have seen how these elements like women gathering, youth gatherings, long-term educational activities that falls during the school holidays, And these spaces have served as a strength of bonds among the participants, reinforcing the values of service, acting together, and well-timed initiatives. Other communities within the region that fall in this category, we have seen the elements in a community like Kakuma, community like Misemwa, community like Namoangabi and Divisi doing the same. So among the lessons that we have learned, we have seen the local assembly being the anchor of the community ownership, fund awareness, which drives the element of participation and responsibility. We have seen the in-kind strength, which builds unity and social reaction within the community. And then we have the element of calendar, aligning the calendar within the community so as to sustain these activities. And then we have the institutional guidance to these initiatives, which have guided the communities to be learning their reality and within the same, acting as a common bound to spearhead the plan's vision according to what the community needs or what it has planned. Thank you so much.
So Mishak has set the pace. I like this arrangement. So we'll take a Rugachwa. Rugachwa. How do you pronounce your other name? Ando? Please, can you give him a microphone?
I am Andochus Rugachwa, but they used to call me Ando.
So we'll call you Ando.
Yes. So, I'm going to share about the program of growth and the social transformation. This third case is about Sral cluster. So Sral cluster is one of the 4 clusters that from Baghdad sub-region, East Lake. And this cluster was opened in 2023 by sending 2 Homefront pioneers. Currently, the community building activities has been established in 2 villages, Sral and Kioruba. Both villages have passed the second milestone of growth with, okay. Now the cluster has 2 local spiritual assemblies and 1 area teaching committee. Unfoldment of the program of growth. A team of pioneers accompanied by regional agencies arrives in a cluster in 2023. They visited several families to initiate conversation about their faith. During the visits, they managed to meet few families of those who had been Baha'is in the past years. Although these believers has been isolated from the Baha'is community for many years, they showed great joy in reconnecting with the community again. These families become an important link in connecting these friends with receptive families. As a result of these efforts, the Sral Local Assembly was formed in Lindvan 2024. As the processes were gaining strength in Sral village, the friends needed to visit families in the neighboring village called Kioruba, where there were also few Baha'is in the past whom them happened to know. Meanwhile, through this period, the region remain attentive to ensure it provided the necessary support to accelerate the rapid growing expansion. The agencies dedicated their time and attention on these clusters. Teams were frequently sent to reinforce the work. Active friends from this village were attached to other clusters to gain practical experiences by being invited to various seminars and joining teaching teams. The youth involvement and transformation of the community life. As a complexity increased, we recognized the importance of dedicating greater attention and resources to youth in order to sustain growth, particularly in education activities. Various approaches were implemented to increase youth participation and strengthen them. For example, helping them move faster through the main sequence of courses and inviting them to seminars and trainings held at regional level, enabling clusters, as Mr. Ricardo explained before. The youth involvement, challenges difficult in readings and writings. This was one of the challenges facing many youth in this community due to their educational backgrounds. Difficult in reading and inability to write reduced their confidence during the study. Even when they were asked to initiate activities after completing the course, they claimed that they could not due to the lack of confidence.
So, Ando,
yes,
I think I'll have to request you to wind up.
Okay. Another challenge was alcohol use.
Another challenge. I think we will hear that other challenge later on. Is that okay, Ando? Thank you so much. If there is time at the end, I'll invite you back. We'll take Patricia. Patricia, where are you? We'll take Johnson from South Sudan. Where are you, Johnson? Johnson was saying that even if he will put up his hand, he's threatening, if I'm not picked, I'm going to stand up. So Johnson, I'm calling on you. And then who is next? Can you bring a microphone to Patricia and then to Johnson? And then who? Hewat, are you ready? Where is Hewat? People are raising their hands. And
Johnson is already.
Johnson is ready. Please, Johnson, go ahead.
Hello, dear friends. Yeah, I'm going to share something on transformative effect of teaching to the youth. Dear friends, the whole process started with the pioneers who first started realizing this transformation in these individuals. They help them through the institute process to develop their capacity to arise and participate in plans. There is also a system that these pioneers have developed, that there is a system whereby on every Sunday devotions, these friends are exposed to other discussions that help them to participate in the growth process. They are depend on several themes according to the tasks of an individual. The pioneers also created a culture of accompanying and visiting this individual to ensure that all of them are assisted and their capacity realized. The literatures are also provided for their personal investigations, where they are able to read, and in case if they have questions, they can come back and be helped to understand more. In Torit cluster, we have also observed
Johnson, you're destroying all the mics.
sorry. Yeah, in Torit we have observed we have observed a significant transformation in many youths who are connected to the community building activities in several ways. One, some of the youths have started changing their ways of thinking on how to approach life, which has led to many started making steps to earn a living, and also how they can help the community to grow. They have also developed the habit of connecting themselves with the teaching of God, which in the beginning was not the case. Some of them have started thinking about the spiritual development of their community by making them to, which has made them to dedicate most of their time to help their siblings and their neighbors' children in children classes. Some have advanced in their capacity in reading and even speaking. The nature of conversation that they have with their friends and even family have also taken another dimension due to their engagement in community building process. Most of the youth have taken ownership of their growth, of the growth of their community. For instance, there was a time, two incidents which happened in Torit cluster. One was the issue of insecurity. Then the other one was when the pioneer was sick, which led him to leave the cluster to go for treatment. These individuals, this group of youth came together and said, now that the pioneer is not there, what are we going to do to our community? Are we going to leave our community to go down because the person who brought the faith has gone? Then they said, no, we have to do something.
Now Johnson is telling so many stories.
I'm winding up.
Okay, wind up, please.
2 years ago, however, in Torit, there was also the situations in Ilugum which served as a center of focus. The situation was very terrible, whereby most of the youth were involved in gang group. Some of them are managed also to adopt some names, intimidating names like Cobra Faction, wrong boys. In the beginning, we were also, we were fear. We had fear on how to talk to these youth. But then today when we talk, we can see clearly that they have that desire on how they can contribute something to their community.
Thank you, Johnson. Thank you very much. I think I've been very generous with you. So we'll take Patricia. Mercy, Iyaya, where are you, Mercy? Mercy, where are you? Okay, Mercy. And then Alam, where is Alam? Huh. Alam is going to sing his contribution. Alam, where are you? Okay. Alam, and then Vahid from Eastern Uganda. Get ready. Patricia is here. And if we can pass the microphone to Mercy. Where is Mercy? Raise your hand so they can give you the microphone. And another microphone to Alam. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you. Lawapa. So just quickly, one area that I would like to highlight is regarding how capacity of the teachers of the faith is being increased, but also connecting to how an expanding number of youth is being raised. This has been in light of the aspect of conversations and learning together as a community, how can we strengthen this aspect of conversations. Last year, one area we focused on is learning how to respond to the aspirations of the individuals that we are talking to, rather than preparing ourselves to have this general conversation. And what has happened from our experience is that individuals have found that the faith can actually respond to the different challenges that they are going through. It wasn't about just another religion from the previous conversations they had had, but they felt that there was, I would say, a remedy in the revelation of Baha'u'llah that gave them hope. From one of the parents that we were able to hold this conversation with, and recognize that her aspiration really deeply was related to the security of her children in her home area. And even her connecting to the process as an individual was coming to see how can we all come together and be able to respond. This kind of strategy where we really even have a tool that tracks the different aspirations, allowing the team to be able to identify which guidance could be shared with these different friends, has really encouraged a number of youth and members of the community to participate, to arise as individuals. We have seen now parents coming to ask for the junior youth camps. They want more junior youth camps. And they come to ask, how can we support? What should we do? This is all as a result of creating an environment where we see every individual in the community as a protagonist rather than just a participant.
Thank you, Patricia. We'll take Mercy. You have a microphone, Mercy? Yes, please. Alam, get ready. And another microphone to Vahid.
Hello, friends. I'll share something small from Givogi community. Like we have friends who've been able to participate in the community building activities. Like we have friends who are helping to teach their colleagues to know the faith. And for example, in one of the schools in Givogi, we have a friend who was able to declare due to one of the Baha'i friends being able to help them learn about the faith. And this friend was able to start the programs in the school, and the programs are really going on very well. And the one who declared is now the animator. And he did the training in Matunda. So like, and we still have some more other friends who are still learning about the program. And also we have friends who did book 11, and they're helping others to know about the importance of the contribution of the fund, and also people are contributing in kind, helping them to understand the importance of contributing to the fund now that depend on the funds. So I was not prepared. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Mercy. Now we picked up the pace, okay? I should pick more ladies, so we keep it like that. Alam, you have a microphone?
Yes, I do.
Vahid, where is Vahid? These ones, they like to talk. I don't know.
Maybe I have to sing what I have prepared. No. Where I will talk, and my contribution is so brief. And because of the time problem, I'll just have 2 points. One introduction, the last. So I'll focus my contribution on Tunduma cluster, which is known as Boda ya Wajanja. Particularly Namanzianzia neighborhood. Well, following the insights and experience gained from Matunda Soy in 2023, we decided to work with a special group of youth. And initially, this neighborhood had 0 activity, and there were no Baha'i. The team engaged in a meaningful conversation with the official leaders. We call them barozi wa nyumba kumi na wenye vitu wa mitaa. And our conversation was about the introduction to Baha'i faith and the importance of initiating the spiritual empowerment of junior youth program within his jurisdiction. After a deep contemplation and reflection, Balos decided to allow his 2 sons to join the process. And within the process, we managed to engage 27 youth into book 1 and book 5, whereby 10 of them were accompanied to start the action of service as animators. And while they were serving as animators, they were being helped to study the sequence of causes, and as they gain insights, they decided to learn making furnitures. So they took short courses of how those furnitures can be made. After 1 year, 6 of them were able to manage and graduate, and now they are mafundi wazuri. While continuing to serve as animators and teachers, till now, as I speak, 15 are serving into various areas of services, and 9 of them have declared their faith to Baha'u'llah, and 2 of them are serving as pioneers at Wanging'ombe and Ivoa cluster, and few of them are members of ATC, and few of them are traveling teachers. I think the time is over. Asante.
Alam, you've really surprised me. Well done. Thank you.
Hello, my friends. For me, Vahid, I'm on paragraph 17, which is talking about acquainting the souls with the mission of Baha'u'llah and be able to observe the city of the heart when it's open. So we are in the cluster of Ngora, which is a milestone 3 cluster, one of our strong clusters, we had identified pioneers that we want to orient to deploy to other clusters. But as a cluster team of Ngora, they also have their own communities that they have not yet opened. And so when we brought these pioneers, we had to fit into their plan of opening a community called Kodike. And of course, we agreed, we deploy one pioneer to this community of Odike. And when we deployed the pioneer there, we immediately organized a meeting with the local leaders, plus their executives. And then in that meeting, it became clear that the pioneer was going to start working with certain families, and also to help the parents, and to help the youth and a lot of others to enter into the Eruhi Institute. And so after that meeting, a teaching was set for 2 weeks, though that teaching spent 3 weeks. So homes were visited. After visiting these homes, we finished all the Sate homes. After finishing these Sate homes, we were able to start to establish 80 devotional gatherings out of the Sate homes that were visited. And also, we were able to identify 34 individuals who were mobilized to do a book 1. And when that book 1 finally started, the friends that were studying the book 1 were really captivated by the quotations that were in the book 1. It made them to really appreciate the message that Baha'u'llah has brought to us. And it touched their hearts. That made it made the conversations in the book 1 to be really so profound. They were discussing a lot of topics that really pertains their life. And of course, also many questions were asked which were not answered during the expansion phase. And so they were able to really acquaint themselves with the more meaning regards their life. So after realizing the receptivity of the population in that study cycle and also the community, 23 individuals were declared their faith to Baha'u'llah during that book 1 study. And so when these friends declared their faith, now there was an idea of how to deepen these friends. But Kodike locality that we had just opened is adjacent to Kalengo group of, a network of families. So there is a local spiritual assembly called the Pot, which is just next to this locality there, this village that we have opened. So that assembly was able to now come in and step in to do the deepening of these friends. So one of the steps they took was to invite them to have a community devotional gathering in their locality, and also to participate in the 19-day feasts that were existing that are in this locality. And the idea was to help them, to strengthen them, and also to start living a coherent life the life that is based on the principles of the faith now that they are Baha'is. And of course, the local spiritual assembly was able to do that. Now, the same friends were able to to continue with their books, the sequence of courses up to book 3. But before they went to book 3, we had a conversation with the resource person for social action. And having that conversation, we were able to realize that we need to help these friends to first familiarize themselves, and also to get consciousness about the material life together with the spiritual life based on their aspirations. And in that, we had to put them into to do a material called planting crops. And after them doing planting crops, they went to nurturing young minds also. And as we talk now, the village is boasting with at least 34 devotions with a participation of 241. There is also one group garden that was formed after going through planting crops. And there are 3 classes of nurturing young minds, and there are 15 children that are participating in those classes. So friends, as you know, Redvan is just in our doorstep. So one of the things that we are really geared towards is to see that the establishment of the local spiritual assembly in this community. And we are very happy that this will really happen. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Vahid. Okay, I had earlier on mentioned Hewat. I don't know whether Hewat is somewhere. Hewat, where are you? Oh, Hewat is at the back. Sorry, Hewat. After Hewat, we'll have Vincent from Central. Vincent from Central Kenya. Where are you? Raise your hand so we can give you a mic. Oh, you're right here. Okay. And then Manek from Tanzania. Where is Manek? We take your name at the back. Okay, Manek. Move. Okay. And then Florence.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to share experience from Lagajila neighborhood where we had gatherings of women, and those mothers, after a few seminars, they started book 1, and we see their transformation in their lives, and also in the way they respect and celebrate our like Baha'i celebrations, and they are taking devotionals, and they host devotionals in their homes. So this is what I wanted to share. Thank you.
The ladies are breaking the record. Vincent, is it Vincent? Vincent, you have a microphone? Please. Manek, come closer.
Hello, Abba friends. My name is Vincent Ochieng from Central Region, Nakuru Cluster and Pondamali neighborhood. I want to share on specifically about this aspect of social transformation effected by of course, by the Training Institute. But I'm going to draw from Nakuru cluster, how the youths in particularly one neighborhood known as Green Estate neighborhood, how after interacting with the institute process, how it has enabled them to actually transform in one way or another, even though we understand they are still in the process. And since the plans began, seems like studying book one and going through other courses has enabled them to develop skills in consultation, moral reasoning, and even service. This neighborhood that I'm going to talk about, it's actually known for its negative influence, specifically on the youths. And this influence has led to these youths maybe trying to engage in a life that is it's not good. Let's say it's negative on how the community is viewing it. And in such an environment, we have a group of youths that we are trying, of course, to engage in conversations, and I've invited them in the institute process, and we are seeing some shift in how they are responding and even trying to work together. As a reflection, there was a time that a regional coordinator was called upon the neighborhood to go and assist in engaging some of the youths in conversation. So in seeing such a neighborhood, then when we are going to engage youths in conversation, then many people are very vigilant because they might not know what we are talking about with the youths, considering the influence that the entire community or how the environment looks like. So we went with the target of maybe meeting some few youths that have been identified by the Baha'i who was living in that particular area. And when we entered one of the plot, we met with a parent. So the parent, because the youth we targeted, we could not be able to meet him because he was still at school. But then we engaged with the parent in conversation. And he was like, I also have a youth that I would like to take part in these programs that you are mentioning about. And she tried to describe the environment, how it basically affects them. And she was very concerned. So while the process continued, we managed to meet a few youths from this particular plot whom we engaged in conversation, and they started going through the institute process. So when they came in to start maybe doing book one, of course it was challenging in one way or another, considering the kind of an environment that we create while we are studying the institute courses, as advised by the International Teaching Center Training Institute material, that the environment has to be spiritual uplifting to the participant. So they did find it very, very challenging to stick to such an environment. But we were trying as much as possible to ensure that we are advising them to not only view what they are doing at that particular time, but also think back in their communities and relate with what they are learning. So as they continued to advance in this process, we started seeing, even during periods of expansion, these youths were being called upon to be in the forefront of engaging their fellow youths in conversation and inviting them to the process. But it's a process that is continuing because we realized that even their parents were very strict to these youths. Going out of the community, they were not sure what they were doing. But when we extended the conversation even to them, like it enhanced even their relationship. It became a relationship of understanding when they hear that their youths are at the Baha'i Center, and sometimes we would even get calls like the youth, we have invited him or her to a study. Then the parent would call just to confirm. But with time, I think this has basically evolved, then the trust between these two is actually growing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vincent.
I will share more in
maybe in the next institutional meeting now.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Vincent. That's very helpful. Manek, are you ready? And Manek, Florence, Harriet from Central West. Where is Harriet? Ah, very close. Good.
Loba. Nitaongelea kidogo kuhusiana na klasta ya Halungu Kusini Magharibi ambayo iko Tanzania, kuhusiana na swala la ufundishaji na namna ambavyo washiriki marafiki wote wanahamasishwa kwenye zoezi hili la ufundishaji. Jambo la kwanza, huwa tunakuwa na tafakari za mara kwa mara kila wiki, hususan siku zile za Jumapili, na kuwaomba marafiki ambao hawakwenda kwenye ugani namna ambavyo wanaweza kujitokeza na kwenda kushiriki zoezi la ufundishaji. Lakini pia kingine, tumekuwa kila siku inapofika Jumapili tunaomba kila rafiki ambaye anahisi kuna mtu anaweza kumtembelea na yupo kwenye jamii yenye shauku, basi kuja na majina siku hiyo. Kwa wanapokuwa wamefika majina siku hiyo, basi huwa tunagawana zile timu kwa ajili ya kwenda kufanya zoezi la ufundishaji la wiki. Lakini pia tumekuwa namna ya kujiimarisha kwenye swala hili tukiwa natumia nyenzo kitabu cha 6, lakini pia kile kitabu cha Ijue Imani ya Kibahai na Imani ya Kibahai ni nini.
Maneki is speaking about how to increase the participation in the teaching process in the Halungu cluster, which is found in southwest of Tanzania. Now he has spoken of various ways that they are trying to encourage the friends to be part of the process of teaching. He has spoken of sharing the information about the teaching work during the deepening sessions of Sundays. He's spoken of the reflection spaces of the friends that they meet and talk about the teaching work, and see also how to encourage the friends if they have names of people they think can be visited, they bring them together, then they talk about that and see how they can be part of the process. In that way, many friends, as they bring the names of the friends who can be taught, they also become part of the teaching work.
Lakini pia kama nilivyokuwa nimeongea juzi kwamba wakati ule tukiwa kwenye muda wa muziki sanaa ambao inaonekana ndio eneo ambao inatawala sana maeneo ya kwetu, watu wengi huwa wanakuja. Lakini kupitia huo muda huo tunapofanya muziki, huwa tunaandaa timu tena nyingine, na wale marafiki pia waliokuja kama ni wanakwaya huwa wanakuja na majina vile vile kama nilivyozungumza. Lakini pia kuna majirani wengine ambao lile eneo la Bahai Center huwa wanakuepo, sio wa Bahai. Huwa wanapewa fursa na kutoa majina na kuambatanisha kwenye hizo timu za ufundishaji na kwenda kutuonyesha mahali ambapo tunaweza kuzungumza nao marafiki kwa ajili ya ufundishaji.
So adding to what I had spoken the other day about how the singing art has helped. So during the singing, the art of singing, when they come together, the different friends come, also those who are Baha'is, and then they are being asked if they have their friends, and when they bring the names of the friends they know can be part of the teaching work. So the teaching teams are given the names of those friends who are ready to hear more about the faith, and more people join the teams. Because even those who have brought the names, although they came for only singing, they become part of the teaching. And that way, it increases the number of those who are in the teaching process.
Na la mwisho ni kwamba pia inapokuwa imetokea Jumapili baada ya hizo timu kutoka, tunajikuta kwamba kuna baadhi ya marafiki ambao wamekuja Bahai Center kwa mara ya kwanza, na wakishafika hapo mara nyingi huwa wapendi sana kujitambulisha kwamba labda wasimame na kujitambulisha na majina yao. Lakini wakati tukitengeneza hizo timu, hata kama wao wenyewe sio hawajitambulisha kuwa ni wa Bahai, tunawapanga kwenye timu, lakini pia wanajikuta tayari wao wenyewe wameshajitangaza kama ni wa Bahai.
Also, many friends, though not yet identified to the community as Baha'is, they join the Baha'i community during Sundays and during the art of singing. So usually these friends are not interested in identifying themselves and introducing themselves to the Baha'i community, but since they are also part of the group, usually when the teams, the teaching teams are formed, they go out for the teaching work. Also these friends are invited and they become part of it, And in that way also, it leads to the number of those participating becoming more, and then later they themselves become declarants.
Asanteni sana, tumekuwa tukifanya hivyo. Wanasema kizuri hakijielezi sana, huwa kinajionyesha chenyewe. Karibuni sana Arungu.
Thank you very much, Manek. We'll take Florence and then Harriet. And after Harriet, we have Anthony. Anthony from Northwest.
Hello, my dear friends. I'm going to share on how the institutions are raising the capacity of the individuals to be able to support the activities through contribution to the fund and other material resources. I will draw on experiences in Ngora cluster where we are learning about this process in 2 localities of Opot and Omo. So at regional level, RBC organizes a space for orientation of local spiritual assemblies and assistance to auxiliary board members participate in this space. And one of the areas for discussion is raising the capacity of the individuals to be able to take charge of what is unfolding in their communities and contributing to the fund and contributing to local and national fund. So the assistance to auxiliary board members accompanying these local spiritual assemblies follow up with this learning process. So I'll still take us to look at the 2 local spiritual assemblies of Ngora, that is the local spiritual assembly of Opot and Omo, which have 2 villages which serve as areas of intense activity generating learning in the region. The 2 local spiritual assemblies are steering conversations to see to it that there is universal participation in taking ownership and supporting activities unfolding in their localities. For example, during trainings, friends are encouraged to give whatever support they can, either in cash or in kind contributions, and in most cases, the friends have responded by providing food items, firewood, and also their homes for accommodation. And then also during cluster visits, the 2 local spiritual assemblies of Opot and Omo request support from the Baha'i friends, which they still offer food items and accommodation for the friends. And the friends are happy to be able to give whatever they are able to give. These initiatives have slowly awakened the friends undertaking undertakings, understanding and consciousness to the need to give generously and sacrificially to the needs that the community activities call for. So the local spiritual assembly of Omo and Opot encourage also friends to contribute towards the local fund and the national fund. And so far, each local spiritual assembly has set a goal for their earmarked funds towards the national fund. And also when we look at a regional level, the Regional Baha'i Council, through the guidance of the National Spiritual Assembly, are assisting friends who are at the forefront to be conscious of the need to contribute sacrificially towards the national fund. This is done through encouraging friends participating in regional spaces or gatherings to make a fund goal during the spaces. And these contributions are earmarked for national fund. And at national level also, more efforts have been put forward towards raising the capacity of the Regional Baha'i Council to extend fun education to the grassroots by assigning assistance to the regional treasurer to help with fun education at family level. And a space was organized for the 4 local spiritual assemblies of Ngora to learn more about giving to the national fund. Out of these efforts, 3 local spiritual assemblies in Ngora now contribute towards the national fund. And we anticipate by Rizvan at least 12 local spiritual assemblies out of the 28 in the region will be assisted to be able to contribute towards the national fund. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Florence. We'll take Harriet. Anthony. Anthony, where are you? Kisuya. Okay. If the microphone can go to Anthony in advance, and then Sarah. Sarah from Eritrea. Sarah, you ready? Yes. If the microphone can come to Sarah as well.
Hello, friends. I would like to draw my sharings from paragraph 15 about how the believers help their community by contributing to the fund and offering other types of material resources. And I'll narrow down my contribution from, or my sharings from Kimangeti community. During institute campaigns and camps, you see the members of the community members, they contribute both in cash and kind towards the camps. And then the junior youth and the youth also, they give their pledges for the next camp. Maybe they can give one of them, the treasurer of the local assembly, the pledges for the next camp. And then when the camp, before the camp arrives, the time for camp arrives, they have given their pledges they have given what they pledged for. And then this initiative of pledges, it came to a point that it was not sustaining the camps. So they decided that the youth, they can have an agriculture whereby they plant crops in the Baha'i center, and these crops they keep them in the local treasurer, whereby they can be used during the camps. And then another way is the LSA has an M-Pesa line whereby all the believers in the community, they are able to channel their contributions anytime they are able to channel. Anytime they get something to give their contribution, they just give it to through the M-Pesa line. Another thing is about the LSA also has appointed a team of individuals who organize for spaces within the community for fund education. So at some level, they have people come together and they have fund education, and people can even contribute to the fund. And another level, they work even house to house of the Baha'is in the community to just give fund education. And whenever they are working house to house, they have the treasurer also is also one of the team. And whenever somebody feels to contribute, they are open. It is open for them to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Harriet. Anthony, you have a microphone. After yes. Anthony, Sarah. After Sarah, we'll tell you after Sarah.
Yeah, I'm going to share my reflections from paragraph 16. Focused attention on how to recognize a seat of heart when it's open to join the faith. Friends, we have had for the sharings from Makutano cluster, particularly Misemo village, about the intensity that is happening within this village, and that many more and more people are participating in community building efforts, ranging in all 3 areas of endeavor. These opportunities have provided with the believers many opportunities to actually reach out to many souls and share with them the teachings of the faith. And and create an environment where these souls could actually feel free and join the ranks of the believers. This is differently happening because a few years back we had some difficulties because the faith remained only in 2 families, and we couldn't reach out to other populations because there was obstacles. We couldn't know how to discern when the soul is ready. However, in a few years, after reflections and trying different strategies, then we were able to realize that we are not only paying attention to many opportunities that are coming across during interactions and the participation, and then we really learned on how to determine through study of Book 6, guidance and learnings from other advanced regions, clusters, and we are able to have a breakthrough. So we really had to determine or to identify what are some of our indicators that this individual looks to be mature and ready to join the faith, because we came up with a list and we realized that a number of people were attending Baha'i holidays, 19-day feast, but the story that dear Nancy was giving earlier was practical in this community. And we also noticed that even during some holidays, particularly commemoration of Ascension of Baha'u'llah that happens early morning, we had these individuals coming at that early morning, and we still kept them at the door, not allowing them to join because we thought we had there was another way. Some could even associate with themselves with the Baha'is during funerals and sing together and feel free to be part of Baha'is. Others, there was that enthusiasm that was shown in running institute activities for longer time. We had animators who ran sustained children classes for more than 3 years, but still we kept them, not reaching out them and asking them if they could join the faith. And even some families also were willing to host institute activities for many years. They could host year after year, but still we could not determine when they are Baha'is. Some also formed part of teaching teams during the expansion. So after discussion, then a long list of over 70 individuals was made, and as a result, this prompted the local assembly together with the area teaching committee to organize a teaching conference, and out of it, 37 individuals crossed and confirmed their faith to Baha'u'llah. These experiences have been also disseminated, and after deploying a pioneer in Turkana cluster, a community that proved to be difficult sometimes, a pioneer after 6 months, he was able to enroll 7 believers in just 6 months. So I think this is one of the areas that we are learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Anthony. Sarah, do you have a microphone? Microphone to Sarah. She's right here. Here. After Sarah, we'll take Musafiri. After Musafiri, we'll take... Okay.
Hello, I would like to share a transformation of woman movement during this first phase of the 9-year plan. The woman movement currently consists of 25 members. The woman movement supports various community processes, including fundraising activities like bring and buying sales and crafts.
Sarah,
yes?
if you can, yes, a little bit.
Okay. Starting from the beginning? Okay. The woman movement currently consists of 25 members. The women movement support various community process, including fundraising activity like buying and buying sales and crafts, offering financial and material support to bereaved family and those with patients, and organize mobilizing resources for social gatherings such as Baha'i weddings, burials, and Baha'i holiday celebration. This is significantly contributing to the concept of community and welfare. The group is supported by a task force of 4 women and including 2 assistant auxiliary board members. They used to meet monthly, but currently resolving to meet bi-weekly so that starting off message of the House of Justice is incorporating their gathering. Their meetings are characterized by collective worship, studying quotation, and reflecting and consulting on their monthly activities. Tutors have been identified to help some of them study books of sequence. They are also learning how to strengthen family's life by promoting devotional life at the family level. One question is still challenge to them is how to expand participation, especially by sharing the vision of the movement with their neighbors and friends, because this could potentially lead to centralized of the gathering to benefit more families. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Sarah. I think similar to South Sudan, it's such a source of joy for us to hear news from Eritrea. Thank you so much. We'll take Musafiri. Musafiri, where are you? Musafiri likes to be at the back. Then there is Tony from East, and I have Hillary from Central West. Where are all these people? Musafiri, if we can save time by moving quickly. Musafiri, where is Tony? Anthony from Eastern Uganda. Where is Anthony? And then who? Hillary. Hillary, where are you? Okay. And Kamela, Ethiopia. Okay. If we can make sure you have a microphone with you.
Hello hapa. Nitashiriki kidogo kuhusiana na namna ambavyo marafiki wanasaidiwa kukuza ule moyo wa uchangiaji katika maeneo ambayo yanaendelea na namna ambavyo wanachukua jukumu hilo katika kusaidia ile michakato ya shughuli ambayo imekuwa ikiendelea ndani ya maeneo yao.
So Msafiri is going to share on the contribution in various areas and how the friends are assisted to take ownership of what is going on in their places.
Katika vituo vya shughuli ya nguvu ambavyo kwa kanda magharibi tuna maeneo 5 ambayo marafiki wamekuwa kijifunza zaidi namna ya kuweza kusaidia shughuli za ujenzi wa jumuiya ambazo zinaendelea kupitia rasilimali zao. Kwa hiyo kupitia muundo huo halmashauri ya Kibahai ya kanda ili kuweza kuwezesha marafiki kuweza kupata mtazamo zaidi au elimu zaidi kuhusiana na namna ambavyo wanaweza kutoa rasilimali zao kwa ajili ya kusaidia kazi za imani, iliweza kupanua mfumo wake wa kutoa elimu ya uchangiaji, na katika maeneo hayo mwekazina wa halmashauri ya Kibahai ya kanda alianza kutenda na wasaidizi wake katika hayo maeneo ili kuhakikisha kwamba kunakuwa na mfumo mzuri ambao unawezesha marafiki kupata elimu kuhusiana na uchangiaji na kuona namna ambavyo ile hamu yao ya kuchangia kwenye mifuko ya imani inaweza kukuzwa na namna na kuweka muundo mzuri kwa ajili ya kuweza kupokea ile michango yao na kuhakikisha inatumika kwa ajili ya maendeleo ya shughuli zinazoendelea ndani ya maeneo yao.
So in the Western region, there are five most advanced areas which the regional by council have identified to broaden the contribution in education. So through this, the regional by council has put in place a system, a well-structured system, which will enable the friends to contribute more and use their resources for the advancement of the community building activities which are underway in their places.
Kwa kuhusiana na kukua kwa ufahamu wa umiliki wa thamani ya mchakato ambao wao wanauendeleza, kwa kuhusianisha na elimu ya uchangiaji ambayo imeendelea kutolewa katika maeneo hayo, imewezesha kuongezeka kwa idadi ya marafiki ambao wanachangia kwenye mifuko ya imani, na hiyo ilipelekea kuanzishwa kwa tawi la kitaifa, tawi la kikanda la mfuko wa kitaifa, ambapo kiukweli kadri ilivyotambulishwa kuanzia mwezi wa 10 mwaka jana, marafiki katika hayo maeneo, idadi ya wale wanaochangia imeendelea kuongezeka zaidi na imesaidia katika kuendeleza ile michakato ambayo imekuwa ikiendelea ndani ya maeneo ambayo shughuli zinaendelea ndani ya kanda.
So due to increasing of many people in the community building activities and the usage of their resources in these activities they are undertaking, so in October, the National Spiritual Assembly decided to have a branch, national fund branch in Western region. So this national branch for contribution has been utilized in this region, and due to this, it has seen that many friends have increased in contributing to this fund. So due to this, the fund which are contributed are being utilized in their activities they are conducting in their places. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll have Tony. Hillary is already up. And Stella Johan was up at the beginning. I hope she's here.
Okay. Okay, friends, Alawaba. Yeah, I'm going to sharing my experience based on the paragraph 14, 31st December 2025, from the House of Justice. I would like to share about how community building process has transformed the way of life. Through the interactions with the growth process, the region is experiencing significant transformation among its youth. Increasingly, younger people are becoming actively involved in a community building efforts, while at the same time advancing systematically through the institute process and PSA texts. One such example is the boy called Nabil, that is from Kalengo village in Ngora district. Is a youth from Kalengo district, Kalengo village in Ngora district, who was in who is from a Baha'i family. In his early age, he participated in children classes and junior youth groups, and at the age of 18, he was trained as a junior youth animator and served actively. However, in 2020, he was drawn toward a negative influence in a wider society he became involved in partisan politics. You know, Uganda by then, they carried politics. So, and he developed a body peer associations that were detrimental to his spiritual and material development. As a result, the local spiritual assembly recommended the removal of his administrative rights. In 2023, he began to reflect deeply on his spiritual life. He took deliberately steps to religion himself with a Baha'i principle, including seeking guidance from an auxiliary board member through accompaniment and personal effort. He gradually reintegrated into community building activities. He resumed his progression through the institute courses and began mobilizing others to participate in a study circle. By 2024, he was actively involved in PSA program. He joined a group of farmers known as Toto Isinais, which successfully activated tomatoes and eggplant, generating a total income of 400,037. Through his example, Nabil has attracted many youth from Kalengwan and neighboring villages. Several of these younger people shifted from idleness, drug use to active participation in community building activities, which some declaring their faith in Baha'u'llah. During the during the 2024-2025 election period, Nabil declined an offer to serve as a political mobilizer, clearly affirming his commitment to non-partisan service and sustainable community development. Today, he serves as a member of area teaching committee and continue to support a social action initiative at the cluster level. Some of the examples where the youth show signs of transformation, including these ones. Youth inviting their followers to participate in the study of the main sequence of courses, of which many have risen to serve as tutors, as animators, teachers in Asia village in Ngoravi cluster, and mostly in Abolot village, that is from Amuria. Youth who used to spend most of their time in trading centers are now doing nothing, can now be witnessed, engage in conducting activities and engage in productive activities like agriculture and fishing and other productive activities. The institute's process has arose the school dropouts to resume schools while maintaining a balance between service and education. The transformations of some
Tony,
youth,
you should be winding
the last
up.
point,
Okay.
The transformation of some of the youth who were drug addicts and alcoholics into inspiration in the community. The last point now is the participation in the ISGP and PSA materials has also transformed some of the youth to start engaging in the community building initiatives. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Hillary, and after Hillary, we'll take dear Stella. And if we have time, we have 2 more names that we want to squeeze in.
Dear enkindled souls of Baha'u'llah Laopa. Yeah, I'll share something about universal participation in the teaching work, how it is being fostered in Malava cluster, specifically Lutali community. In Lutali community, a growing number of individuals are increasingly engaged
in the teaching work in a variety of settings, including homes, groups of families, Sunday devotions, and other spaces available in the community. This development is being fostered through a conscious effort to cultivate a shared understanding of preaching as natural expression of faith and collective responsibility of the entire community. The local speech assembly of Lutali is providing a guidance and direction to these efforts by creating conditions that encourage participation, reflection, and learning. In particular, the Assembly has established a teaching committee to accompany believers and friends of the faith as they arise to share the message of Pahaula. Through the consultation, planning, and regular reflection spaces, the committee supports the community in identifying opportunities for teaching that are appropriate to the local context and responsive to the receptivity of individuals. Special attention is being given to those who are on the threshold of the faith. The Assembly and its teaching committee are working together to ensure that such individuals are lovingly and respectfully welcomed into the Baha'i community. This includes sustained personal contact, invitations to participate in devotional gatherings and the community activities, and thoughtful accompaniment that allows each soul to deepen at a natural pace. Through these efforts, the process of family welcoming new believers is increasingly understood as an extension of friendship and spiritual nature rather than a discrete event. At the same time, the community is adopting various approaches to encourage friends of the faith to engage actively in the teaching work. Newly acquainted individuals are encouraged to invite their own families, friends, and neighbors to activities that themselves are enjoying, such as devotional meetings, study circles, and service initiatives. Emphasis is placed on learning through action, enabling participants to gain confidence and capacity gradually as they share the teachings in simple and natural ways. As experience accumulates, teachers of the faith in Lutali community are strengthening their ability to listen attentively, to discern receptivity, and to respond with wisdom and humility. Through collective learning and the guidance of the institutions, the community is steadily advancing toward a pattern in which universal participation in the teaching work is becoming an increasingly evident and sustained feature of community life. And finally, I'm happy and also glad seeing the soldiers of Pahaula alert and activated and ready to face the second phase of the plan with full force. Musanga adede.
Thank you, Hilary. We'll take dear Stella and then Dennis. Dennis Ingutia.
Hello, friends. I'm going to share about how the institutes and agencies that are learning about raising the consciousness of the duty to teach the faith in Malera cluster, how it is unfolding. Malera cluster was a virgin cluster which neighbors Ngora cluster. But until 2023, when a pioneer was deployed there, it was a virgin cluster with no activities whatsoever. But before the deployment of the pioneer, the pioneer first went through an orientation for 3 months in Ngora cluster, and during this period, he reviewed his RUHI materials and also practically engaged in mapping and grouping of families, and accompanied educational activities and devotional meetings. With the help of the Pioneer Coordinator and the Regional Institute Coordinator, they came up with a plan for the cluster, and the plan was to work with 30 families and open devotional meetings, which then were integrated into the institute process. And also, the plan was to assist at least 15 adults to enroll into the faith. When the pioneer came into the cluster, he started a devotional meeting in one of the homes, and he had about 10 people attending. Later, he introduced them to a book 1. During the study, the pioneer also did direct teaching, which helped the friends to deepen their understanding of the faith. He had the head of that family where the first devotional meeting was held was the first to declare as a Baha'i. And then shortly, 6 others followed. By Rizwan 2025, the number of Baha'is increased to about 30 believers. With the help of the Pioneer Coordinator and the ABM, the friends were able to elect their first local spiritual assembly. And to that local spiritual assembly, an assistant was assigned to help raise the capacity of the LSA, to function at a higher level. An ATC also came into being, and in collaboration with the LSA and the Pioneer, they strengthened teaching efforts to increase the Baha'i population. A women's conference was also organized, and 12 women were volunteered to take the classes as children class teachers. So they are still on the path. The cluster was launched into milestone 2 and also gave an opportunity to teaching the faith, which attracted 5 more souls into the faith. Currently, the cluster has 54 believers who are distributed in the 3 villages within the cluster. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Stella. We'll take Dennis, and if time allows, where is Hakim? Hakim, right at the back. If time allows, we'll take Hakim. Dennis, 2 minutes.
So, I wanted also to talk about that paragraph 13, talking about enabling, and also question 1, that creating condition to enable more and more enkindled souls. So I think that is what I'm going to center my conversations. So just reflecting in our own communities. So one thing that is coming out clearly is studying the writings. And these writings then will start through the institute process. And we all know that the institute itself is the creative word. So when we are enabling a growing number of individuals to study the word, then we enable more and more souls to become enkindled. But also youth and junior youth when they are putting practice while they are starting from the institute, then this becomes also a condition where these souls can be enabled to become enkindled, rather than just studying but not putting in practice what they are learning. And this depends on how we are creating systems, to accompany those who are going through institute process. And another thing is learning as a mode of operation, that everyone, then we are supporting anyone to walk this path of service. Those who are advanced along that path, and then they are there to learn. Not that they know, but all of them, they are learning from even those who are newer to the process. And those who are experienced, then they are making themselves available for the newer one to learn for them to develop their capacities. But another thing is when we are opening more and more homes, to become for devotional spaces, for example, but also for children's classes, junior youth and study cycles. So all these becomes spiritual atmosphere. And this spiritual atmosphere then enables those who are interacting with that environment to become also enkindled, because they are drawing from the spiritual forces that are being generated in such environments. And lastly, I want to talk about when individuals are working in groups. And these groups, for example, group of youth, group of women, groups of families, teachers, animators, so this then makes them to expand that cycles of collaboration that creates confidence, even those who are joining the process for the first time. So this element of working in groups has been also another area, another condition that different communities are creating to enable more and more souls. Lastly, when friends walk this path with a level of humility, then becomes also another condition that enables individuals to, the souls to become enkindled. I know Kanzanas will give me another time. I don't know when, but I'll give it to next reader.
Thank you, Dennis. Okay, Hakim. Now you are the whole group is on my mercy for lunch. Hakim, 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay, hello, friends. So I will just share briefly in response to the question regarding how we are working with the teaching teams. And I will just give briefly a brief recap on Entebbe cluster, where I'm going to focus my sharings. So Entebbe cluster is a cluster which is under the jurisdiction of the Regional Baha'i Council of Central Uganda. It is a third milestone cluster. It is a third milestone urban cluster, where at the level of the cluster, efforts are underway to strengthen the characteristics of third milestone cluster. It is currently consisting of 3 local spiritual assemblies, and it's at the beginning of this year when we started to learn about grassroots planning. In this cluster, we are learning to strengthen working in 3 monthly cycles of activity, and at the end of every cycle, we always have a cluster-wide reflection space. But focusing more at the level of the locality, Kajansi is a locality that have a small number of believers with diverse realities and living in various neighborhoods. Among those neighborhoods, we have Kawotobi as our neighborhood of focus. And at the beginning of the year, each community was asked through the guidance of the local spiritual assembly to draft their own plans. And of course, steps were taken in this regard. But among the challenges we have been facing, one has been the ability to implement the plans we have drafted for ourselves, not because we don't know what to do and how to do it, but because we lacked a unit of vision. And so in this year, and so it is in this year that as a community, we started learning about the strategy of working with the teaching teams that could assist in the implementations of the community plans. In the previous quarter, with the guidance of one of our senior citizens, and as well as a community member, Auntie Nancy, a teaching team reflection meeting was organized where a teaching team through the study of guidance, were assisted to build a unit of vision, unit of thought, unit of purpose, but also how we can together translate it into unit of action. And this helped us to analyze our
Hakim,
current
your
reality.
time is up.
Just briefly. And so this helped us to analyze our current reality, and we also made plans moving forward. Among the plans we made included selecting the days when we meet, as a team we convene and divide ourselves to go for teaching, and the other was regularizing our reflection spaces. And with the coming of the 31st December 2025 message from the Universal House of Justice, as a team, we were still guided to study it, and this time round we focused more on viewing the characteristics of a third milestone cluster in the lens of paragraph 3. And with the rich insights we gained, we were able to set more outreach goals, different from the so closed ones that we were setting for ourselves in the previous quarter. Then lastly, as this included having a continuation of the camp and festival that we had started learning to organize in the third quarter, but this time around intensifying visits to welcome large numbers. We also set a goal to invite more people in the start of the institute process, to raise more human resources, but also opening up to work with more neighborhoods as opposed to limiting it to only Kaotobi. And the team is really playing a very tremendous role in advancing the community building process within the community, being supported by the local spiritual assembly, but also the area teaching committee. And it is this same learning that we would love to disseminate to the other clusters. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the honor of being called a senior citizen. Thank you so much, friends. This is a very exciting topic, and I hope when we go into our breakout groups, we'll continue to explore more, but also ensure that we are well positioned to be able to advance these conversations in line with the 9-year plan, the second phase of the 9-year plan. We will go for, thank you again. I just wanted to apologize to Josiah. I don't know where Josiah is. I really wanted you to speak, but I can't do that anymore. Thank you so much, everybody, for your contributions. And we are going to miss you, but we'll pray for you. You know, the hours are coming to a close. Yeah. You're so wonderful. You have no idea how your contributions are so uplifting for our souls and so confirming. We are so confident that we are gonna achieve the goals that we have committed to the beloved House of Justice. Really, such a source of joy having had each one of you. And I know many of you wanted to speak, but we will visit your communities and hear more stories. Thank you. We give it back to the National Speech Assembly.